Find the equation of the line containing the point -3, -5, and perpendicular to 5x minus 2y equals 4. In these problems where you're not given the y-intercept, you're always going to use y minus y1 equals m times x minus x1. That's the rule in this class. It's not that it's the only way to do it, but it's the only way for me to get you to use that equation. So that's why it's the rule. I want you to use this equation because it's a convenient equation to use. But if you learn some other way to find the equation of the line, for whatever reason, as humans, we're always reluctant to do things new ways. I don't know why. And it only gets worse as you get older, right? So I'm forcing you to try this new way. That's my reasoning here. And then when you get on to your next class, you can use either way you want. You can go back to your old way of doing it if you want. Okay. So what does this equation tell us we need to find the equation of any line? What is the point slope form? Y minus y1 equal m times x minus x1. What does it tell us we need to find any equation of any line? A slope and a point, right? This form gives you your steps. You need a point, x1, y1. You need a slope. That's what you want to think. You don't want to memorize step 1, step 2, step 3. Memorize that equation. And it tells you the steps. Okay. I know I'm very emphatic, but that's because I really believe that it's a better method than maybe what you were exposed to as your recipe, step 1, step 2, step 3 in another class, right? It's actually more to memorize if you do it that way. Okay, I've got a point. Is that an issue? -3, -5? We know it goes through that point. You don't have to label it, but that's your x1, -3, and -5 is your y1. So what don't I have? So what's your mission? Find the slope. That's the logic, right? You don't need that step 1, step 2, step 3 jargon. Okay, well, the only other thing I have is another line. This line. And I know I want my line that contains this point to be perpendicular to this line. Oh. Does that tell me something about the slope of my line? Not just the reciprocal? The negative reciprocal. So the line that I pointed at, the equation of the line that I pointed at here, it has negative reciprocal slope to the line we want. So if I could just find the slope of the given line, take its negative reciprocal, I'll have the slope of my line that I'm looking for. Does that make sense? So that's my plan for solving this problem. Let me take the 5x minus 2y equals 4. Can you guys tell me how to find the slope of this line? Remember, you solve it for y, and then the coefficient of x is your slope, isn't it? All right, so let's work on that. What do I do? Subtract 5x, and I'm going to put the negative 5x in front of the 4, so I'll squeeze it in there like that. And then what does that leave me with on the left side? Negative 2y on the right side. Negative 5x. Remember what we're doing. We're adding these things together. So negative 5x plus 4. I need to get y by itself, so what do? Divide by -2, -2. Don't forget that guy, even though it's not going to help us. Divide the 4 by -2, because in other situations you will need to do it correctly. Okay, let me go over here real quick. What do I get for y? Positive 5/2. Does everybody see that? That's actually going to be the slope. Well, not the slope we want for our line, but the slope we're looking for from the other line. And then what's the other part going to be? -2. If you got that part wrong, you could still get the right answer because you're not using that -2, that y-intercept of 0, -2 for anything. But in other situations, you might use it for something. So practice getting it right, okay? All right, so this is the slope of our perpendicular line, right? So the slope of this line is 5/2, but we need the perpendicular slope. So I don't think your book uses that symbolism, but I'll use that upside down T for perpendicular. The perpendicular slope is what we want. What is that? Yeah, negative 2/5. So this is what we fill in right here. Does that make sense? Everybody with me? Any questions? As I zoom out and make more room, any questions? All right, so now, let's line everything up. Let's write this down again. Y minus y1 equals m times x minus x1, point slope form, and let's fill it in. So y minus, what's my y1? Negative 5. Again, if you want to skip this step and just write it as y plus 5, that's fine. Equals m. Which slope are we putting in? Negative 2/5 times x minus a negative 3. So yeah, if you want to skip this step and go right to y plus 5 equals negative 2/5 times x plus 3, that's fine. This step that I'm about to circle, you don't need to show. So let me pose a question to you then. What if I changed this word from perpendicular? What if I changed it to parallel? Then how would that change this problem? What would the slope be if it were parallel? Yeah. So you would just take that guy, wouldn't you? Instead of negative 2/5, instead of plugging in negative 2/5 here, you would plug in just the slope of the other line, which was 5/2, if the word were parallel instead of perpendicular. Does everybody see that? Okay. Let's go ahead and solve this for y. I said I wasn't going to do it, but we don't have time for classwork, so you might as well get to see another one of those. So I'm going to leave the y plus 5, the plus 5 on that side for now. What should I do with the negative 2/5? What do I get? Negative 2/5 x minus, think of it as 3/1 when you distribute. What do you get? So you're distributing here. There's your negative 2/5 x. Let me put it in red. So you distribute here. That's your negative 2/5 x. Distribute here. Multiply straight across. Negative 2/5 times 3/1. What do you get? Negative 6/5. Everybody with me so far? Then I want to isolate y. If I'm told to solve it for y, or I'm told to put it in slope-intercept form, that means solve for y. So what do? Subtract 5. And then this is another one of those situations where you need a common denominator. So you get negative 2/5 x. Okay, 5/1, what's the common denominator? 5, so multiply by 5/5. The 5/1 multiply by 5/5, and you get 25/5, which is equal to 5. It makes sense, right? So 25/5. And then you combine negative 6/5 and 25/5. Oh, was it minus? Yeah, so let's make it a minus, because we had to subtract that 5 from both sides. So combine negative 6/5 with a negative 25/5. What do you get? Negative 31, minus 31/5.